the following content does contain spoilers for Eula's character story. Hey everybody, it's Ray, and we're back with another Genshin Impact character video. If you were here for our last video, you already know we've added Eula to the squad, so Claymore season is well and truly in full swing. If you haven't already seen my last character video, we took a closer look at Geo Claymore user Noelle, so I'll leave a link in the top corner if you want to check that out. But for now, let's dive into today's video.
Captain Eula Lawrence, Spindrift Knight, Knights of Favonius Reconnaissance Company.
Yes, Eula is a captain in the Knights of Favonius, a protector of the people of Mondstadt, and yet is probably the most disliked character we've come across in the entire city. It's probably safe to say the people hate her, but she is a descendant of the old aristocracy, the rulers of Mondstadt in its darkest era, and her family name is enough for the people to despise her. Although she talks of vengeance, there are many hints within her character lore that she simply doesn't know how to communicate with the people of Mondstadt and is simply misunderstood. In her character story, we see her join the Traveller, halting a plot by members of her extended family to take back control of the city, and she makes her thoughts on their views pretty clear. All signs point to Eula being a good person herself and nothing like her family or their past. Eula has recently been introduced on the Born of the Ocean Swell banner, which will run for the next few weeks. If you're looking to add her to your team, there are some items you'll need to stock up on. First, gather up some dandelion seeds, although you'll probably want to bring someone like the Traveller or Sucrose along for this one. Acquire some Hilichurl masks and brave the chill with the new Cryo Hypostasis for Cryo Crystals and Crystalline Bloom. For her talents, you'll need Books of Resistance, more masks, and the Dragon Lord's Crown. If you're lucky enough to score some extra Eulas, you'll light up the stars in her constellation Aphros Delos, bringing with it some pretty nice power boosts. So let's take a closer look at what the Spindrift Knight can do. On paper, her basic attack looks pretty standard fare for a Claymore user. Her Favonius Bladework is known as Edel and is a string of 5 consecutive strikes. Eula consumes stamina to perform continuous slashes, finishing off with a more powerful slash, and after plunging from mid-air, will strike the ground, damaging enemies along the way and dealing AoE damage upon impact. Eula's attack sequence is quite intricate and has lots of little details that you might not catch in battle. Stopping after her third attack sees her kick her weapon back into position. I love this transition between 4th and 5th, and seeing the chain through to its end rounds off with a cute little hair flip. Let's just see that all again. Eula's elemental skill, Ice-Tide Vortex, has 2 forms. A press for a swift slash of cryo damage that grants a stack of Grimheart on hit. Eula can hold 2 stacks of Grimheart, which increases her defense and resistance to interruption, and it makes her cape glow. Holding the skill will consume any Grimheart stacks and deal an AoE cryo slash. If stacks of Grimheart are consumed, the slash will decrease the cryo and physical resistance of surrounding enemies, and each stack consumed will create an Ice Whirl brand, dealing additional cryo damage. Her first Ascension passive, Roiling Rime, will create a Shattered Lightfall Sword if 2 stacks of Grimheart are consumed while unleashing the holding mode of Ice-Tide Vortex. The sword will immediately explode and deal 50% of the base physical damage dealt by the Lightfall Sword created by her elemental burst, Glacial Illumination. Her first constellation, Tidal Illusion, will increase Eula's physical damage by 30% for 6 seconds for each Grimheart stack consumed by Ice-Tide Vortex. Her second constellation, Lady of Seafoam, will decrease the cooldown of Ice-Tide Vortex's hold mode to the same length as the press mode's cooldown, while the 5th constellation, Chivalric Quality, boosts the power of Ice-Tide Vortex by 3 talent levels. Her elemental burst is called Glacial Illumination. Using her greatsword, Eula deals cryo damage to nearby opponents and creates a Lightfall Sword. The sword will follow Eula for 7 seconds, and while present will gain energy from her normal attack, skill, and burst. At the end of its duration, or when Eula leaves the field, it will explode, dealing physical damage to nearby enemies. Her second Ascension passive, Wellspring of Warlust, resets the cooldown of Ice-Tide Vortex and grants Eula a Grimheart stack when casting Glacial Illumination. Her third constellation, Lawrence Pedigree, boosts the power of Glacial Illumination by 3 talent levels. Her fourth constellation, the Obstinacy of One's Inferiors, the Lightfall Sword deals an additional 25% damage to enemies below 50% health. And for her final constellation, Noble Obligation. Lightfall swords created by Glacial Illumination will start with 5 stacks of energy. Normal attacks, elemental skills, and elemental bursts have a 50% chance to grant the sword an additional stack of energy. The damage dealt scales based on the amount of energy it's gained during its charge time. And Eula's final passive talent, active as soon as she joins the party, Aristocratic Introspection. Eula has a 10% chance to create double the product when crafting talent books, and that's going to come in pretty handy. When cooking the defense-boosting dish Moon Pie, there's a chance she'll create her signature dish, Stormcrest Pie, instead. This dish will give a bigger boost to shield strength and defense than the original product. Let's have a closer look at my current Eula build. I haven't been able to get any of her constellations yet, and I have upgraded her talents to level 7. Eula is now at level 80, and I've unlocked 5 of her 6 ascension levels. I'm trying to bring her along in the team as much as I can to boost that friendship level, but for now we're working towards level 3. It's time for my Snow Tomb Star Silver to shine. I had already built this up to a fairly high level as I was experimenting with using it on other Claymore users, and it's been left unused ever since. I loved the Dragonspine weapon series, so I'm glad we're finally seeing some characters that can make good use of them. I gave it a little boost ready for Eula joining the team, but then went ahead and took it all the way to level 90. I have been considering trying to get my hands on the Song of Broken Pines, but I'm nowhere near pity on that banner, so I'll probably just stick with this. The new artifact set is perfect for her, and I really wanted to give her a full set, but it looks like my artifact luck is just as bad in the Ridgewatch domain as it is in the Peak. So unless that bad luck changes, for now I've got one good piece from the Pale Flame set, with a 4-piece Gladiator's Finale for the attack boost. Eula has an attack percent timepiece, a cryo damage cup, and an attack percent headpiece. The plan here is to try and get some better artifacts and switch these out. I'm thinking of sticking with cryo damage for her cup instead of physical damage, as we already have the weapons boost, but I may go for a full physical build. I haven't quite decided yet. Her hidden stat is crit damage, so it's already at a decent level, so as soon as I can get my paws on a good crit rate headpiece, I'm going to switch that up. We're going to switch things up today and take a different approach to finding good teammates for Eula. So instead of coming up with team examples, we're going to look at the different skills of other characters that complement Eula and try testing a few combinations out afterwards. First off, we'll have a look at some characters everyone should have access to. All of Lisa's attacks will apply the electro element to enemies. Teamed with Eula's cryo attacks will cause superconduct, reducing the enemy's resistance to Eula's physical attacks, allowing her to do more damage. As another cryo user, having Kaya in the team with Eula will activate the Shattering Ice Resonance, increasing the crit rate of attacks for any enemies affected by cryo. Everyone will also have Barbara, probably your first healer option, but also her skill can be used to continually apply Hydro to enemies, allowing Eula to freeze them. As you wish for Eula, you'll probably be able to get your hands on those featured 4 stars. Xingqiu's elemental attacks continue to apply Hydro to enemies even when he leaves the field, enabling Eula to cause the freeze and shatter reactions. I like to pair Eula up with Xinyan. Not only does she bring a shield to the team, Pyro mixed with Cryo will cause Melt. Her 4th constellation reduces physical damage resistance of enemies when hit by her elemental skill, and one of her ascension passes increases the physical damage of characters protected by the shield it creates. As most of Eula's kit is dealing physical damage, the two of them pair quite nicely together to maximise Eula's damage. And she's a great support DPS option. And now for some other characters that I think make nice pairings. Adding Diona to a team with a cryo DPS unit is probably always a good idea. You'll benefit from the Shattering Ice Resonance, and you'll have a shield, healer, and ranged attack option in the party. If you have a good amount of cryo damage for Eula, then Chongyun's elemental skill will infuse her weapon with cryo, so she can dish out continual cryo damage with her basic attack. Although if like me you're going for a more physical build, this is not a good combination. Fischl's elemental attacks can deal continuous electro damage alongside Eula's cryo attacks, causing superconduct. Superconduct will reduce opponents' resistance to physical damage, and if you have a physical damage build Eula, will enable her to deal even more damage. Zhongling's elemental skills can keep the pyro going even when she leaves the field. Gorba can just keep on spitting out his little fire breath, and her Pyronado is one of my favourite bursts because it has such a wide range and lasts for ages. Rosaria is a great pairing with the build I have for Eula, as her elemental burst will give short bursts of cryo, and I have given Eula the Snow Tomb Star Silver, so the longer enemies are affected by cryo, the more chances there are for the weapon's passive to deal additional damage. And finally from the 4 stars, Sucrose. Sucrose is a great addition to any team. Her attacks cause the swirl reaction, and her kit will boost the team's elemental mastery. More elemental mastery means more damage from those elemental reactions, and her attacks can launch opponents, helping your team to take control in larger mobs. Now we'll take a little peek at some potential 5-star matches. First up is Chi-Chi. As another cryo user, this will give the elemental resonance's crit rate boost, and Chi-Chi can act as your team healer. As Chi-Chi's healing is based on her attack, and her skill causes her basic attack to heal the team, she would make a good support for Eula in tougher battles. Another pairing I found pretty fun to play is with Mona. Her taunt ability will draw attention and apply Hydro, allowing Eula to freeze the enemies, shatter them, and freeze them again. She also makes a great burst DPS. You could also pair her with Jean if you want to bring out the best the Knights of Favonius has to offer, but I still don't have Jean, so I can't say if this works well or not. So, time for our final thoughts on Eula. I do like to switch up my DPS unit every now and again just to keep things fresh, although I don't feel like Eula takes the role of cryo damage DPS for me. I almost want to focus entirely on her physical damage, but it would be a shame to not get much from her elemental attacks. With a little more work on her artifacts, I think she'll easily match the damage I get from my strongest characters, and when I want to build a team around sheer physical strength rather than the elements, I'm definitely going to be picking her to lead the charge. And now, if you'll excuse us, it's time to go face my arch nemesis. Please let me know down in the comments if you're looking to add Eula to your team, and leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And don't forget to pop that subscribe button if you'd like to see more. Stay tuned because Claymore season continues. Liyue's one and only rock and roll star Xinyan is coming up next. Until then, see you next time.
Oh yes, I'll teach you all right. Mark my words.